thinking, therefore the way you're feeling about certain things, then you can get, you can deal with things because you're human. You can deal with things. So yeah, it's about that sort of process, in some ways. Yeah, I think I've made a good analogy there anyway. So I worry about Simcast a little bit because I feel like she's definitely feeling grief here, and she's sort of explaining it as she's talking. So another thing that I would say is, I'm probably not the best person for this, but if she ever wanted to talk to me, not on a stream, she can reach out to me in Discord or in a comment or something, and I can send her an email, and I'm not going to have. She doesn't have to give her my phone number. Like, she doesn't have to have my phone number, or I don't have to have hers. You know what I mean? But we could talk on a Discord call or something if she wanted. I know it's a random thing to offer, but I feel like if someone's feeling grief and like this.
I thought that video that Scott made of me and Val, I thought it was really lovely. He's a bit cheeky at times and he's a bit feisty, and so am I. But, I quite enjoyed watching that, and I thought he was really cute in some parts of it. So there's a lot to talk about, and it's a time of the day when it's getting later and the darkness is coming down, and I've got my candles lit. And apart from the noise in the back with workmen behind me, it's just time that I'm having quiet time to myself. And I need those times to myself when I can just be still with my thoughts. And I want to cover a lot of things. One of the things that I want to say is that I have no idea what I would do without a mother. To me, even though I've had issues with my mum over the years because I'm a rebel, and my teenage years were very difficult as well. Even though I've had issues with my mother over the years, not speaking to her, being estranged from her at times, I cannot imagine a world where she doesn't exist. And I feel for people who don't have mothers, because I just don't know what I would do without a mother. And last year she was ill and I was really frightened. If something happened to my dad, I could handle it. And I know that sounds horrible, but that's just the truth. But my mom is everything. Like, I would rather go before she does. So, that's how I feel. I also want to say that I know that I can come across as obnoxious and overly confident, maybe even a little feisty, whatever. But I am actually quite a very down-to-earth person. I'm girl next door. I'm easy to talk to. I'm an empath. I'm sensitive as well. I'm quite sensitive, not necessarily about myself, but to other people. I'm sensitive to emotions. I have anxiety. I have imposter syndrome. I have issues just like everybody else. There are days when I don't want to talk to anyone, and there are days when I'm more engaging. So I'm a normal person who goes through normal facets of life, and I don't want to come across unrealistic in my podcast at all. I'm a very down-to-earth person who has, I'm kind of yin and yang. I'm happy and I'm sad. I'm up and I'm down. And, I'm a complex individual as well. I'm not straightforward all the time. And I'm not always confident. Sometimes I feel, I have insecurities like everybody else. I'm just a normal person. I don't want to come across like I think I'm better than anybody else, because I don't. And I'm very, very different to how Bam was. I don't seek admiration and attention in the way that she did. I'm very different. And I think, once I left her channel, and another thing about me as well, one of the reasons why I did leave her channel is because I do not like conflict. I want to get along with my fellow creators. I don't like conflict. I will defend myself and I will speak up for myself eloquently, but I want peace in my life. I want peace. I don't want to be back and forth, tit for tat. It's just not me. I just want to say that I fully support the Nottingham Bike channel, NVB. There's only one thing that I disagree with that was put out on that channel. Oh, and by the way, for anyone who thinks, sometimes I wrestle with UK spelling versus US spelling, and I prefer the US spelling of the word behavior, which has a U in it. Someone mentioned that I spelt behavior wrong on Scott's channel. It's not the wrong spelling if you take the U out. That's the US spelling. I just wanted to clear that up. But anyway, the Nottingham Village bike. I agree with practically everything on that channel. I support that channel, with the exception that Bam was always bad. You know, people like her, and I believe we all have good and bad in us. We all have light and dark in us. We all have yin and yang. There's no person that's all good necessarily or all bad. It's just some people, the balance is more on one side. But, you know, Bam has helped people. She's helped to raise money for people. She's helped people with their animals. She wasn't always bad. Sometimes she was a positive influence. Sometimes she helped people. Sometimes she was encouraging. If she was always bad, then she wouldn't have had the support that she had. People that supported her thought she was a person who had integrity, thought that she was an honest person, thought that she liked them. So, you know, I disagree with this notion that Bam was always bad. And I am a firm believer. I started listening to her about a year or a year and a half before I made contact with her. And she had the odd tantrum every now and then. You know, sometimes she would go after somebody every now and then. And I'm not saying that's acceptable either, but she really did escalate her antics in the last few months. She really did. That's my personal opinion. Also want to mention this. When I said EK in my last video on Scott's channel, he mentioned EK. Who's EK? I wasn't talking about Emma Kinney. I was talking about Emerald Kimmy, who was an online friend of mine, and we both joined Bam's channel around the same time and left around the same time. I think I'm getting that correct, but I wasn't talking about Emma Kinney when I mentioned EK. I was talking about Emerald Kimmy, who's a wonderful person. And yes, I have mentioned Emma Kinney as well. I might even do an episode on Emma Kinney because Bam had cited her as taking her content, which is absolute nonsense. I also want to say I support Kay's way 100%. I think she's a good person. I think she's an honest person. I was very, very sad to see that she'd taken down her channel or privated her channel or whatever she did. I really, really was not happy about that because I really wanted her support and I support her 100%. And I was really looking forward to maybe not taking active part in the live stream that she was going to do, but I was really looking forward to listening to her live stream. I really was, and I was very disappointed when I saw that her channel was no longer there. I also want to mention something about Val. Val and I had a fallout over a year ago. We're not friends. We're not fans of each other. However, I do agree with a lot of what Val has said recently. We are not responsible for Bam's family. And she wouldn't care about ours. I can tell you that from now. We've all shown respect to Bam's family. We've all wished them well. I don't see anyone who has done otherwise. We've all shown respect to Bam's family. I respect her family. And I've said, you know, she loved her family and she was proud of them. She's got a beautiful family. So no one has shown anything but respect for Bam's family. I also want to mention a little something about JC, because there was this narrative out there once that because of my love for JC, that I didn't like Scott because of that, because there was this little back and forth between them. No, that's not how it goes. What's between JC and Scott, their little back and forth, I never got involved in. When Scott first came on the scene, and he came on the scene later, he came after Justin, okay? When Scott first came on the scene, I didn't really watch him much. I would hear people talking about him here and there, and sometimes I would go and watch clips of him. But when he first came on the scene, I didn't really watch him all that much. I only watched clips of him. and I saw clips of him. I started to watch him a little bit more later on, and yeah, I thought he was a bit much. I wasn't keen on Scott at first, but I grew fond of Scott over time, and he's been critical of me, and I've probably been critical of him in the past as well, if memory serves me correct. But I grew fond of him later on. But that has nothing to do how I felt about. I love them both. I love JC and I love Scott. I love them both in different ways. As a in context of BAM, JC was on BAM's channel in the latter stages, but she was always a very independent creator, and she never got involved in some of the antics that I see those others have gotten involved in. And she's always, in the past, JC has always been good to me. She's always stuck up for me. I'm talking about genetic code here. I've always liked her. Now, she's not perfect. She can get a bit emotional. She can get over emotional at times. She can get, sometimes her emotions get the better of her. But she's a human being and she's imperfect. But I've always loved her, and I want her to know that. And, as you can see, she hasn't gotten involved in some of the antics that some of the others have gotten involved with that were part of her channel. And I always will respect JC. JC isn't perfect. She's made mistakes, like we all do. But I love her and I love Scott. And my feelings towards JC or Scott have nothing to do with their back and forth with each other. And I think I've covered everything. I had to record this part again. Life after BAM is going to be very challenging. I'm going through a lot of emotions, and it's not just because of BAM. It's because of things that happened before BAM and things that are going to happen after. I'm not quite myself, and I hope that I will get over this time, and I will get over the challenges of this time, and I can get back to being myself again. But it's going to be a while before I get back to my full whole self, and it's going to be a while before I feel secure. And I've got a challenging time ahead.